As girls and women around the world work hard to pave their way toward success, what if I told you that it was not always enough? What if I told you that upon entering the workforce, there are other barriers that we must face and combat to fight our way upward and progress in our careers? With areas such as equal pay, parental leave, and the ability to choose the industries we work in, there are other factors that can affect the way we work and ultimately the way we live. Welcome to the Legal Barriers to Women's Rights and Opportunities. This course examines the legal and regulatory barriers hindering women's rights and access to equal economic opportunity. These laws codify discriminatory practices that put women at risk of harassment and violence, as well as prevent them from fully participating in the economy. We will review global data that underscores the discrimination and bias that women face. We will also look at legal efforts to remove these barriers and the positive effects that reforms toward gender equality have on women and countries at large. While this course and the study it is based on focus on how laws affect women around the world, the truth is that individuals of all gender identities and expressions may experience discrimination and gender-based violence. Women, girls, and people who are transgender or gender nonconforming face a disproportionate risk of discrimination and gender-based violence across every context due to their unequal status in society and lack of legal protections. This lesson is Barriers to Pay, Access, and Benefits. In this lesson, we will analyze laws on equal pay, access to certain industries, protection from sexual harassment, maternity and paternity leave, and pension and the impact they have on women's economic participation. This lesson was written by the Women, Business, and the Law Project at the World Bank and is based on more than a decade of research and analysis. The project measures laws and regulations that affect women's economic opportunity in 190 economies. The project provides data and insights to individuals, governments, policymakers, and businesses to help create more inclusive legal frameworks and support women's economic empowerment. Women, Business, and the Law focuses on the critical relationship between gender equality and women's economic participation, finding that good practices in legislation are strongly associated with their increased empowerment. In 93 economies today, the laws do not mandate equal remuneration for work of equal value. It means that if you are a woman in any of these countries, you are most likely to be paid less than a man. This is often referred to as the gender pay gap, which is the difference between the average pay of men and women. The disparity in income between men and women negatively affects the growth of a country's economy. A 2017 study by the Institute for Women's Policy Research of the economic effect of equal pay in the United States finds that if women's pay were brought to the same level as men's, the poverty rate for all working women in the country would be reduced by almost half. The adoption of laws that promote gender equality in the workplace is correlated with better labor market outcomes and enhanced human capital, which cannot be achieved solely by male workers. A woman's inability to freely choose her profession not only suppresses a critical part of her identity and independence, but it also negatively affects her chances of employment. Imagine yourself in a situation where certain jobs are off limits to you, regardless of your qualifications. How would it feel to not be able to choose your own professional path? Removing legal barriers such as this can encourage a woman's participation in paid employment and in jobs requiring higher levels of education. Because of occupational segregation, women tend to work more in the industries where more women work, and therefore pay there is lower than in predominantly male industries. Worldwide, there are still 82 economies where women face some form of legal job restriction. Specifically, 22 economies limit a woman's capacity to work at night. In 49 economies, a woman cannot work in jobs considered hazardous, and in 65 economies, she cannot work in the same industries as a man. Restrictions such as these make it harder for women to gain employment in many fields that are often high-paying, such as transport, manufacturing, construction, water, and energy. The sort of existing restrictions that limit a woman's occupational choices lead to segregation in the workplace, as well as major labor market distortions. Furthermore, prohibiting a woman from working the night shift, for example, has the power to negatively impact her career progression. Keeping these points in mind, it is clear to see that a woman being able to choose where she works has a significant impact on her success and overall well-being. A family's ability to plan for the future and feel supported by their employers when starting a family plays a critical role in a woman's well-being, both inside and outside of the workplace. Despite many economies making progress in various areas that uplift and support women, there is not enough being done in the area of family leave. Currently, 118 economies grant paid maternity leave of at least 14 weeks to working mothers. Only 80 of them, however, provide these maternity benefits through public funds. The International Labor Organization recommends providing benefits through compulsory social insurance schemes or public funds. Globally, 117 economies provide fathers with paid leave for the birth of a child. While the number of economies that provide maternity leave is similar, the length of leave differs substantially, with an average of 192.3 days of leave days for the mother and just 22.5 days of leave days for fathers. Studies show that a smaller gap between mothers' and fathers' leave is associated with higher female labor force participation rates. This would suggest that if the leave gap between parents were addressed and lessened through changes in legislation, women's participation in the workforce could increase. Sexual harassment has regressive effects on women. Not only does it affect the physical and psychological well-being of women, but it has also been cited in a study as one of the contributing factors to the gender wage gap. Sexual harassment results in lower productivity, lower company profitability, and higher labor costs as a result of the social consequences of sexual harassment. These heavy costs are borne by the employers, governments, and society as a whole. According to Deloitte Access Economics 2019, the lost output deriving from sexual harassment cases amounts to almost $2 billion annually. Globally, 43 economies still do not have legislation prohibiting sexual harassment in employment, but such legislation is key to protecting women, and it also will have a significant impact on the labor market. A 2019 International Finance Corporation study in Fiji, for instance, found that on average, employees miss 10 working days a year due to domestic and sexual violence. Sexual violence does not only impact employees negatively, it also translates into significant costs to businesses. Again, adopting laws that promote gender equality has benefits and is smart economics. Let's look at how laws affect the size of women's pension and women's economic security after retirement. Because women tend to live longer than men and have shorter working lives due to unpaid care work, early retirement can have negative effects on a woman's security in old age. Globally, in 118 economies, laws affecting the size of a woman's pension have not yet been equalized compared to men's. Such legislation is key to avoiding unequal economic outcomes in retirement between men and women. In 107 economies, the pension system in place accounts for periods taken off from work to care for children in the calculation of benefits, so that women are not penalized for taking this time from work. This calculation is important because, according to a study, the size of a woman's pension is affected by the number and length of interruptions in employment that arise from childcare. While achieving legal gender equality requires a concerted effort by governments, civil society, and international organizations, advocacy at the community level is important in making sure that these conditions change and continue to improve. For example, in 2014, a group of women and men marched to the parliament in Nairobi, Kenya, to present a petition for the enactment of the Protection Against Domestic Violence Bill. By engaging with civil society efforts and those on the ground, individual ideas become monumental movements. This is the type of initiative that garners attention from those in power and has the potential to make true, long-lasting change. Through this lesson, I hope we have all learned a bit about just how laws in employment and the workplace affect women's well-being and the opportunities they can access. We can all leave here today more knowledgeable and empowered to make a difference, understanding that although these efforts all take place inside of the workplace, they certainly affect women in their personal lives as well. The work a woman does is a part of who she is, and every woman should feel respected and supported in this area of their lives. The unfair denial of equal rights to women in many parts of the world not only puts women at a disadvantage, but also creates obstacles for countries to promote green, resilient, and inclusive development. Gender equality cannot be further delayed, as women cannot afford to wait any longer. Neither can the global economy. For more on this course and to access related resources, visit our website